Tiffany Stratton, she is the buff Barbie of WWE. She's daddy's spoiled little girl who's getting apparently whatever she wants, whether you like it or not. And she's possibly becoming one of WWE's big breakout stars. She's only turning 25 soon, which is like an infancy age within wrestling, and she's already being seen by some as a future potential WWE Women's World Champion. Whether you like it or not, we might be living in Tiffy time. This is Sportskeeda. I am Kevin Kellum. Let us know what you think of Tiffany Stratton's future in WWE in the comments below. Now that she's under the bright lights of the main roster of Raw and SmackDown, let's take a deeper look at what is making Tiffany Stratton so good so quickly, and why she could possibly be that next major superstar we're talking about. We don't have to go that far back in time to look at her background and what it's all about that got her into pro wrestling and eventually WWE. Growing up, she was highly athletic, and to say that she was naturally gifted would be an understatement, but it takes away from her effort that she's already put in. She had success at the national level in gymnastics and made it to the United States national team at the age of 17. This would end up being her biggest source of athleticism that built her pro wrestling success at an early age. But even her buff physique and work in bodybuilding also dialed her in to make a break-in approach to pro wrestling. While flipping through the channel, she came across an episode of Friday Night SmackDown, where she saw the star of WWE's women division, Charlotte Flair, a statuesque woman who was blonde, buff, and could talk all the smack and back it up. On the Out of Character podcast with Fox Sports, Tiffany Stratton said that all of these things made her realize that it was literally everything she was already good at. Seeking a way into wrestling, Stratton would ask her mother for help, and they went first to WWE veteran Ken Anderson's school, which was close by her in Minnesota. You know him as Mr. Kennedy. After multiple applications submitted to WWE, Tiffany Stratton was dejected and said that they wouldn't even look at her. Eventually, through her contacts, her mother got a hold of another WWE veteran who had a lot of connections and certainly was a prominent name in Minnesota, Greg Gagne, the son of wrestling icon Vern Gagne, who managed to use his contacts to get Stratton in a trial position with WWE. He agreed to come to Ken Anderson's wrestling school and help train Tiffany Stratton himself in the weeks leading up to this specific tryout and recognized her jump-out potential. Unfortunately, circumstances got in the way, and her scheduled tryout came right around the time when COVID-19 started. You may remember that before moving to the Thunderdome, WWE was holding Raw, SmackDown, and their other premium live events inside the Performance Center. And because of that, the tryout was canceled, and Tiffany Stratton used the time to get even buffer and train even harder, using the circumstances to become even more of the superstar she was going to become. It wasn't a setback, it was a setup. This is where her story with her mentor, Greg Gagne, gets a bit interesting. While Gagne would have probably wished that it was just a straightforward story with an experienced veteran training a talented up-and-comer, let's just say that Tiffany Stratton had attitude issues. Admitting that Tiffany was a handful, Gagne would butt heads with her on more than one occasion in the training process. He made it clear to her that she needed to do what he said while she threw numerous fits. It was either she was too tired or she did want to do something she was being told to do. On those occasions, Gagne simply told Tiffany Stratton to get out and never come back. While she reportedly stormed off on a couple of occasions, she would come back with her tail between her legs, an adjusted attitude as described by Gagne. The second time it happened, Ken Anderson, who was overlooking the training class, looked on as she walked out and told Gagne that she had a lot of talent. Gagne, to his credit, stuck by his morals and said he wouldn't take any crap from her. Surely enough, she came back, and this time Anderson took her aside, and there was never any other issues between her and Gagne again. She quickly wised up a little bit and displayed enough maturity to continue growing until it was time in 2021 for WWE to call her back for that big tryout. And this time, she was completely dialed in and left it all in the ring, killing it and getting signed to a WWE deal just a year after beginning her training. She would be added to a strong batch of NXT superstars that included Braun Breaker, Cora Jade, Roxanne Perez, Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams, and more. And this was an NXT 2.0 era that was proving it was all about a youth movement. And you couldn't just come in being athletically gifted in this WWE, especially in this NXT 2.0. You needed to have a colorful character that stood out. And hers was the spoiled rich girl. Tiffany Stratton told Booker T on his Hall of Fame podcast that character, which was, pretty stereotypical, wasn't truly exactly who she is, but the character over time has developed into being a key, fierce femme fatale inspiration from other things in pop culture, while also certainly having a whole lot of her own testy attitude. She debuted in late 2021 with 205 Live, starting with her character definitely being that spoiled little rich girl, but she shared that there was some inspiration from some characters you may know outside of WWE, like Sharpay Evans from High School Musical, The Mean Girls, and let's keep it fetching with fashion icon Paris Hilton also in the mix. Yes, she was a Gen Z kid for sure. She needed a starting point, and it seemed like she had one, and the character of the rich girl was something good to hold on to and develop from. And she continued to grow and evolve at a rapid pace in front of everyone's eyes on weekly television. She had an incredibly successful first year in 2022, showing rapid improvement in her in-ring abilities and the way that only few have before. You were seeing something there, especially the way she carried herself in the ring and delivered a lot of things that made people think of Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar, or in this day and age, Logan Paul and Braun Breaker. People who have the athletic skills and are outperforming their expectations coming in. Tiffany Stratton belongs in that elite list of superstars who showed rapid improvement while having years of athletic training before even relearning everything that you have to do mentally in pro wrestling. She had a small setback in late 2022 when she suffered a head injury, but she would return in January of 2023 and instantly shift gears, looking to push it to a new level. She spent a good part of that first half of the year targeting the NXT Women's Championship, eventually winning it in a tournament in May. Just 1.5 years after her NXT debut, years into her pro wrestling career in general, she won one of the biggest prizes at the developmental level of WWE. Stratton defeated Lyra Valkyrie for the title in a featured match on the NXT Battleground Premium Live event in Lowell, Massachusetts. Why are we bringing that up? Because this was one of the first times that Stratton performed in front of an arena-sized crowd on live TV. Yeah, this was all happening very fast, and while it was happening, she was collecting gold in the process. This instantly put her on the map. She would have a respectable 107-day-long reign as NXT Women's Champion, and she would lose it in a fashion that would show WWE was truly invested in her. She lost it to Becky Lynch. Yeah, the man came around to Orlando for a stint on the brand that made her a WWE superstar, and she wanted to win the women's title she had never won, the NXT women's title. The fact that Stratton hung in the game with the biggest name in women's wrestling showed how much her future was going to shine. Stratton was the champion, but she was the underdog in this title defense. Even in defeat, Tiffany's stock rose in a massive way. It never felt like she was being buried or sacrificed for an established name coming to take a title from the developmental brand. Also, the match where she lost the title was probably one of the best women's matches in wrestling in 2023. Even her exit from NXT, when she had to work on Fallon Henley's ranch, Similar to 41 years ago when Jimmy Garvin had to work on David Von Erich's ranch, her commitment to the role of being a prissy, spoiled girl who doesn't want to be disgusting in the dirt in a ranch working with cows, made people even enjoy her character more. She embraced the sports entertainment and all of it all, the ridiculousness of the scene, something that every WWE superstar needs to have in their tool shed of skills moving forward. This was also a full circle moment for Fallon Henley because she was the person that Tiffany Stratton defeated in her NXT debut. But when a superstar debuts on the main roster, there is suddenly millions and millions of more people watching you. Yeah, and they may not be so familiar, so you have to make your mark in a big way. And sometimes you gotta do it in a crowded stage like the Royal Rumble, where the expectations are high, but it's still a good place to start. And it was really after that, at the Elimination Chamber, that she proved the real litmus test, that she was a superstar in the making. After a couple of successful weeks, she got big wins on SmackDown, went into Perth, Australia, and received a real star's welcome inside the chamber in front of 50,000 plus people. Other people have left off the pods in the chamber to splash on an opponent, but she may have one of the best aerial maneuvers we've ever seen inside of the Elimination Chamber, doing a front-flipping splash onto her opponents, a move that may have stolen the evening or stolen that match that she didn't even win. That was confirmation for people within WWE that they have a major star in the making on their hands. And not that they didn't know that already. WWE can take their time with Tiffany, but we gotta know it's Tiffy time right now. Whether it's Raw or SmackDown, she seems to be the perfect fit for the fact that she is a 100% homegrown talent for the most part. And her standing within WWE historically, where they love pushing a talented homegrown star. And she's holding her own with more experienced talent who make her look better in the process. This is still a team effort, but she's playing her role within that. She may not be the whole package yet in the eyes of some, but considering her level of experience even at this early stage, she could be that in a few years. She's already picked up wins over former champions on TV. The fact that she managed to improve at a quick rate, a rate that is probably faster than 99% of the wrestlers in the world, shouldn't be too much of a surprise. And if it gets under your skin, well, maybe that's part of the fun too. You have someone new that you can boo. And if it's Tiffany, well, you're not being quiet when she walks out. She's getting those reactions and starting to connect with fans in a truly organic way. What do you think of Tiffany Stratton? Expect huge things and several championships from her in the years ahead. It's Tiffy time, baby.